All right, we're going to talk 53-man rosters, very early projections of the 53-man roster. Scott and I each put one up. So we're going to put those out there. Mary Kay can judge us. She can frown on us in judgment and the players we chose. But we're going to go through the lists that we had. So, I mean, let's just do it. Let's just start at the top with the quarterbacks. There really isn't much room for discussion here. Baker Mayfield, Case Keenum, Garrett Gilbert. We both had the same thing, Scott, but I had a little bit of an internal debate as to whether I was going to keep 2 or 3. And my thinking was really, in a normal year, I would have kept 2. I would have just kept Baker and Case Keenum. But I think they're going to have a better backup plan than just having somebody available on the practice squad, like a Garrett Gilbert or someone else. So I decided to keep 3 on the roster.
Yeah, I was using for a lot of the offense, I was using what the Vikings did last year with Stefanski as offensive coordinator. I thought that seemed a logical way to go at this. And they kept 2 quarterbacks last season. So, at the beginning, I was thinking, okay, Mayfield and Keenum, obviously, do we really need a third? And I think in your 53 came out before mine, and I think in a way you kind of talked me into having a third because one of your rationales was better safe than sorry here, considering the situation we're in. So,
well, we did ask Kevin Stefanski on the Zoom call last week about whether or not they would sequester one of the quarterbacks, keep somebody away in bubble wrap so that they absolutely had a starting quarterback for opening day. And he just didn't seem too keen on the idea. The other thing that he's going to be very intent on is not singling out the quarterbacks.
All right, let's move on to another really easy position, running back. We both had Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt, and Andy Janovich, who, of course, is the fullback. The only place we really differed was Benny LeMay. I had him, the undrafted free agent out of Charlotte. Scott, you had Dontrell Hillyard. So I guess, I'll give my explanation for why I didn't keep Hilliard. I just don't know that he did enough to really blow me away last year. And
I sided more with people who have proven something in the NFL over guys who haven't. I just think that this year, considering no offseason workouts and no preseason games, that if I was running a team, I would be more inclined to take guys like someone like a Dontrell Hilliard, who I know has proven he can play in the NFL, has had some success, and has shown his versatility over somebody like Benny LeMay, who I have not seen do that, and who I won't be able to gauge his progress over, 3 or 4 preseason games.
The other thing to consider here is that remember how Stump Mitchell talked about Dontrell Hilliard last year? I mean, he raved and raved about Dontrell Hilliard, and he really praised him in a way that I think almost caught some of us off guard. And some of that might have been because Duke Johnson wasn't around, and they were kind of trying to make a point there about that whole situation. But Stump really likes Dontrell Hilliard.
Okay, now another position, Scott, that you've mentioned it on the podcast a couple times that you've looked at that the Vikings kept last year, wide receivers. You've thrown out that number 5. So you and I both went with 5 there. The names we kept that were the same: Odell Beckham Jr., of course, Jarvis Landry, Donovan Peoples-Jones, and Rashard Higgins. The differences we had, interestingly, kind of both with the special team slant. I went ahead and kept Kaderil Hodge. You kept JoJo Natson. Special teamers in very different ways. Hodge is a gunner. Natson is a guy that can help in the kick return. So what sold you on Natson over some of the other options that might be there? There's also, who am I missing? Damian Ratley is a guy that's there. Some of these other receivers, DJ Montgomery, some of these other guys. It's always a big group in camp.
It was basically his pass as a punt returner, and the fact that we don't know. Asking Donovan Peoples-Jones to come in and be the main punt returner as a rookie when he's also trying to figure out wide receiver. And I just think that's a big ask for him.
The other way that you could look at this is if you do only go with 5, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, is that Kareem Hunt really can be kind of considered a hybrid running back receiver. So, you could get away with 5 because so many times we've talked about him serving that role as the third receiver when they do go to 3 wides, which they don't even do very often. So I really could see 5.
How much difference on tight end? Austin Hooper, Harrison Bryant, Stephen Carlson, Pharaoh Brown. Scott, you put the caveat in that maybe instead of Carlson, it could be a trade or a waiver claim. So I don't think we need to spend a lot of time on that. I think we've also spent a lot of time talking about David Njoku. Mary Kay, I will ask you this, though, as we're still kind of getting a sense of how Kevin Stefanski talks about guys and how he can read between the lines. Did you take anything away from his answer on Njoku yesterday?
You know what? I think it's a consistent message with what we have heard from the Browns in the wake of this trade request by David Njoku. They have said they like him. They want to hang on to him. They do not want to trade him. And unless somebody comes in with a really good offer for them, they're going to keep him here, and they're going to have him be part of this 2 tight end scheme, which sometimes utilizes 3 tight ends.
Okay, let's move on to the offensive line. Again, not a ton of differences here. Like I said, I lost Drew Forbes. I had him making it. So I had 10 linemen, which felt like a lot, but I just feel like kind of like quarterback, that's another position where you're going to have some flexibility.